Welcome to class. Yes, this is our last class, and I'm sure it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful all through the other session. Meal planning, the last section, and I'm sure we are going to have a great session today. So by the end of this class, you should be able to explain the terms meal planning and balanced diet, explain the factors that will influence meal planning, identify nutritional needs of families and modify food to meet their needs, define therapeutic diet and its significance, enumerate and classify the Ghanaian food groups. And once again, we are going to build on what we have learned already. You know, application, nutrition and dietetics is an application science. So whatever you learn from the basic nutrients, you have to apply them now to solve problems as you meet patients in your clinic settings. So meal planning is basically making a plan of meals with adequate nutrition for every member of the family or an individual with available resources. And when I talk of available resources, I mean time as a resource, energy or fuel as a resource, plus money as a resource. These three are key things. Yeah, because if you have the food and you don't have fuel to cook it, what's the point? You have the food, you don't have time to prepare it, what's the point? So it is very, very important that these things are considered in meal planning. Then what about therapeutic diet? It is the special diet given to a person suffering from a disease to facilitate recovery. You know, sometimes I say that when you are eating and eating well, you stay away from the doctor. You know, food can solve problems. Typical example is the ready-to-use therapeutic food that we use in managing the kwashiorkor and the marasmic patients. And you see the child in the picture there eating one. Yes, it is basically food, no medicine. Food is medicine. Food is everything. Once we know how to combine them and how to select them, we should be okay. And it is that we want to use to help people in our clinics in addition to medications that they are given. But dietary approaches is what is being asked for, especially with the nutrients. Then dietary diversification, simply meaning having foods from different food groups, not just one. We diversify because every particular food is rich in one particular nutrient or one or two, but doesn't contain all. When we take meat, for example, it is rich in protein, contains some fat, contains some micronutrients, but it doesn't contain carbohydrate, you know. So that is why we need to diversify. We need to allow variety in the diet, and it should be balanced. You know, a balanced diet, note, does not necessarily mean that it is adequate. So a diet should be balanced and at the same time should be adequate to meet the nutrient needs of an individual. And this strategy is key in meal planning. So what are the elements of a healthy diet? The ABCMV. We have adequacy, get enough of essential nutrients. Balance, contains good proportion of nutrients. No overemphasis of any particular food group or nutrient. Calorie control, that is choose foods to maintain ideal body weight. Very, very important. Moderation is the key. Eat any food in reasonable size portions. Yes. It is not that because you like that food so you are eating it anyhow or taking a big bucket of ice cream and eating everything. No, that is wrong. Eating in moderation is the key. Variety. Eat different types of food to prevent boredom. And this is very, very important, especially when we are dealing with children who are forming the habits, our toddlers, our teens. Very, very important to add variety to whatever they are eating. Why do we have to do meal planning? Important to meet the nutritional needs of every family member. And if it is you an individual, you need to plan so that you know that this is what I'm going to have for breakfast, even the day before. And especially with students, yes, because you don't plan, you wake up and say, I didn't have time to plan to eat breakfast because I didn't have time. But if you did plan the day before, even your dinner, you could have left small to have for breakfast. So meal planning is very, very important. Decide what to eat each day and at what meal time. This is very, very critical as we manage patients with different diseases. It is very, very important. Make food economical. When we talk of making food economical, that is buying foods that are in season, knowing where to buy, what to buy, when to buy, how to buy. These are the key strategies that can make food economical. So if you know that this time garden eggs are in season, why don't you buy garden eggs? But then there's no contumely. By force, you have to buy contumely. No. So we need to understand the food groups. They are all vegetables. So it is very, very important. There's no contumely. There is ademe. There is boma. There is bokoboko. Why don't you go for that? That is making economics with your food. There is no yam. There is cassava. Why worry about the yam? Buy the cassava to make your PC. They all contain the same carbohydrates that you need. Very, very important. Then sometimes we need to also understand the food preferences of family members, especially where we have others who do not want to eat. There are some families that you have some children who do not want to eat. So sometimes we may need to consider their preference and make sure that it is available for them. Yes. Then we also need to save money, energy, and time. Because all these three resources are important to be able to do other things. We shouldn't allow meal planning and meals to take all our time, our money, and our energy. Very, very important. Then use of leftovers. Very, very important. And I think I'll be reiterating that fact again when it comes to breakfast. When it comes to breakfast, any leftover, anything can be eaten for breakfast. Anything can be eaten for breakfast. So it is time we go away with that. It should be porridge, it should be tea, it should be... And sometimes what we drink, the tea, is sugar-colored water. And then we also add some bread. Even the bread, there's nothing. So in no time, the individual is hungry. You know, but if you have some gari and beans or wache, you know, for breakfast, more, it will take you longer. So it is very, very important that we promote our own basic foods. Whatever is left from the day before can be used. So for effective meal plan, it is important to consider nutritional adequacy, that all nutrients are balanced. Children need more proteins than adults. We make sure that that is catered for. Consider the pregnant woman, consider the lactating woman, and then make sure that the greens are available, bearing in mind folic acid relationship, especially for the pregnant woman. Also very, very important. And then water as a nutrient. Yes, as we plan our meals, we also have to know that we need to drink water. There's been this question about when should we drink water when we are eating. Yes, once we get the sensation that we are thirsty, then it means the body is telling us, I'm dehydrated, I need water. And somebody was arguing that, oh, we don't need to drink water with us. So I asked you, when you are eating rice with soup, is that soup, isn't it water? Then I also asked the question, assuming you are eating a top and you are choked, you said that you won't drink water. So these are some of the things that we should be pondering on to advise our client. Once you get that sensation you are eating and you want water, maybe the body is telling you, I'm dehydrated, I need some water. However, sometimes we try to take away water from children because when they don't want to eat, then that is when they want to drink more water. We have to be sensitive about those things, you know, very, very important. We need to consider the energy-giving foods, that is our cereals, roots, and tubers, fats and oils as energy-giving foods, and know where to balance so that we don't overshoot energy intake. Body-building foods, we have animal source foods, and then we also have the plant foods, which we discussed earlier on, where I talk of complete and incomplete protein. So go back and refer. Then we have the protective foods, and these are foods that we obtain from our fruits and vegetables, and they basically act as regulators, as enzymes in our body. So it is important. This should guide us as we prepare. It is important also to consider the following when we are planning the meals. Age, because as we age, as I said, there are certain things that some, especially our elderly, cannot tolerate. We also have the sexes, gender, also very, very important. The nutrient needs vary. We've talked about that. So males and females. Females need more foods that are rich in iron. It doesn't mean males don't need it. They need it. But because of the menstrual flow, females lose blood every month, and therefore we need to make sure they have enough erythropoietic nutrients in their diet. Physical activity level is also very, very important. Somebody who is more physically active should get more energy-rich foods than somebody who is not. Very, very important. Then economic factors, as I said, should also be considered. And sometimes it is important to help mothers that there are place markets where to buy from. Yes, buying in bulk to get cheaper, yes, than buying one by one from kiosks and corner shops and so forth. It is very, very important. Going to the market and buying in bulk is cheaper. You know, knowing where to buy, what to buy, when to buy, how to buy, bargain is very, very important, and be selective. And at the same time as we are buying, we should also consider the food safety, sanitation, and hygiene. So we shouldn't just be buying things that are on the floor anyhow. It is very, very important that we consider food safety, sanitation, and hygiene. Meat, where the thing is outside, it's not in a meat shop where they have the nets, you know, flies all over. No, we need to avoid. Tell the people, and especially as we deal with people who are immunocompromised, safety aspect of buying should ring a bell anytime we are counseling them. It is also important to consider the time, the energy, and the skills to prepare particular food. Religions, allergies, and food aversions, yes, are also key. We talk about them, so this is a recap for you. Yes, it is also important to consider the following. Adult women, once again, the life stages, which we talked about earlier on, to consider them. This is very, very critical. The most vulnerable in the family, especially pregnant women. So if there is very little food, then it is important that the pregnant woman gets the food, because she's double. It is very, very important that we stick to that. Yes. So to be able to do diversification, it is important that we understand the Ghanaian 6 food groups. We have the cereals and grains as number 1. We also have the starchy roots and tubers. These two are the energy-giving foods based upon the new classification that the Ghana Health Service has come out with. Cereals and grains, starchy roots and tubers, they are there. So it makes it easier when we are doing education. But otherwise, you stick to the 6 food groups that you can eat. So whatever is in the cereals, whatever is in the starchy roots and tubers, if you don't have cereals, don't worry. The same energy you get from the starchy roots and tubers. There are so many of them. So once you choose any from these 2 groups, you are okay for your carbohydrates. Then for fruits and vegetables, yes, we have a wide range of fruits and vegetables in our country. Local ones and then the imported ones. However, the imported ones are very expensive. And I always say that we have orange, we have pawpaw, we have pineapple. Why buy apple so expensive? And when you compare apple and orange, apple does not contain vitamin C. Vitamin C is in orange. It's in your pawpaw. It's in your pineapple. So why by all means buy apple to show to the world that you are eating apple? There's nothing there. There's fiber there. But that is not the main. We need the vitamin C because you are getting the fiber also from other sources. And it's so expensive. 1 apple can give you more oranges. You know, so you can have orange for 2-3 days. So that is best. So that is what is meant by economics and buying wisely. Animal and animal products. That is where our fish and meat fall into. And then that is our first class protein. And then our second class is the legumes, oil, seeds, and nuts group. Yes. So if we don't have the animal and animal products, yes, we can fall on the 5th group, the legumes, oil, seeds, and nuts. And once again, recall where I had the combinations. So once we combine, we then get a complete protein that will contain all the essential amino acids for us. And then our fats and oils. Yes, the richest source of energy. However, we need to eat them in moderation. Note the type of fats, the saturated fat and then the unsaturated fat. The saturated ones are not good, and then also the trans fat. Where do we get the saturated fat? From animal. So those of us who like the domendo, the fat back, that is where we have the challenge. So we have to be very careful about them. And then the offals, the gizzard, the lizards, and whatnot, they are all rich in cholesterol, red meat. So the redder the meat, the higher the cholesterol. Liver is high in cholesterol. So we need to advise people to go low on them. We are not saying don't eat them, but then let moderation be the key motivator. So this is a pyramid which is showing the Ghanaian state food groups. And for a pyramid, the base is wide. So it tells you this is where you can eat large. So when you see the cereals and grains there, these are whole grains. And that is what we are talking about. So somebody eating in Sihun, the refined, where the husk and everything has been removed from the kenke, that white kenke, it's not correct. People eat it. You are not saying don't eat it, but that is not the best nutritionally. The whole grain kenke is the best. So those are the ones we eat in large quantities. Then we have our starchy roots and tubers. To the fats and oils as a pyramid, that is the smallest that one should have. So it is very, very important. Very, very important that this should guide us as we educate our people. So energy-giving foods, as the reclassification by the Ghana Health Services, I've put it there in another form just to recap for you. Then the bodybuilding, then the protective foods, then the fruits and vegetables. These are the fruits and vegetables. And then water. Water is key. Water is key. And we should let variety play a role. Moderation is the key. Calorie control. The food should be balanced and should be adequate to meet the nutrient needs of a particular age group. So in therapeutic diet, that is for the sick whom we are managing. We need to consider that the diet should be based upon the person's daily need as prescribed by the doctor to come to the unit. It's very, very important. Modify the diet in terms of the following. Consider the type of disease that the person is suffering from. Consistency, if the person cannot swallow. Sometimes it's cancer of the throat. The person cannot swallow something like fufu. It is liquid. So consistency is key. The nutrient content is also very, very important. There are others that certain foods may be asked to be taken off. We need to look at it. Consider the time of feeding, interval feeding, timing. All these things are important to be considered. Examples of some diets and disorders that we also need to note. Diarrhea is a typical one. That one happens to most people most of the time. When this happens, then it is one should go low on fiber-rich foods and then use semi-solid foods. Yes, and then also in addition, drink a lot of fluids. Yes, and then if you take something like hypertension, one should go low on foods that are high in cholesterol and then also low in salt. And here I want to reiterate this fact that when we are taking salt, should be out of the diet of the person when the doctor has prescribed salt-free. And when we are telling the person that you are not to take salt, yes, it is the sodium. Salt chemically is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride. It is the sodium that is the problem. So what that means is that all other Maggi, Onga, Royco, and all those funny names out there are spices that contain salt. They contain monosodium glutamate, A1. All of them should be out because you have been asked not to eat salt. They contain that substance, sodium, and that is the factor that we don't want in the person's meal. Because even when we cook without adding salt, there is already salt in the food already. All foods contain sodium. So it is because we have developed the taste and the habit for it, that is why we add salt. So when somebody has been asked not to take salt because the person is salt-sensitive hypertensive, then we should make sure all the funny names, Maggi and the like, is taken out. It is very, very important that we note that and explain to the individual. So your last assignment for the semester, list the factors you consider in planning a meal. For each factor, give your reason. As you do this, I am sure you find the exams very, very easy, and send your assignment via the Sakai to me to have a look at it and give you feedback. Yes, it's been a wonderful semester with you. I've enjoyed you, and I wish you all the best in your exams. Thank you.